Hey, Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us today on Realty Check. I'm your host, Trish Williams. We appreciate you guys tuning into the show. And if you are watching and following our show, take a moment, please, to like, comment, share, tell your friends about it. We always have good information for you here. We are bringing you what's happening in Las Vegas in real estate straight from the professionals. So you get the real deal here. So today on our show, we're going to be talking about property management. A lot of people have some property management questions and all the rental chaos and everything going on out there in the market. You've all heard about it. You're living it. You're experiencing it. And we brought in an expert, a property manager, to talk to us about what's happening out there. So before we get started, though, before I introduce my guest, I do want to take a second to say Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our veterans that are out there serving and that have served, and we really appreciate your work that you're doing, your service that you're providing, keeping us safe here at home, and we just Happy Veterans Day to all of you. And on that note, I want to introduce our guest. We have Mark Lister with Keller Williams Realty. He's a property manager. And Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing this?
21 years.
21 years.
I've worked with 2 brokers, so I've learned a lot going from the ground up, because this is a business where you have to get lots of experience, and there's a lot of little things that can go wrong, so it's important to get that experience. And a year and a half ago, I've gone on my own now.
Yeah. So. And Mark, you do when we have our team conferences and stuff like that in the office, you will talk a lot about property management. You're very resourceful and knowledgeable, so I'm very happy to have you here on the show today.
Thank you.
So every week I open up the show and we talk about current inventory, single-family homes on the market for sale, where our inventory's at. We're seeing a little bit of a difference than we have over the past 2 months, so these numbers are shifting just a bit. Our single-family home inventory right now is 3,257 single-family homes for sale on the market. Last week, we've been about 3,500 to 3,900 over the last couple months. So this number's dropping a bit. That means less inventory, more homes are selling. And price reductions. Over the last few months, we've been hovering around 500, in the 500 range of price reductions every week. This week, we're at 441 price reductions for the week. So that number's dropping a little bit. I'm seeing a little more activity. This little temporary slowdown seems like it's picking back up again. What are your thoughts on what's going on with real estate right now?
Well, on the sales side of it, I think there's an opportunity for investors and buyers agents to get in there and get some rental properties and get those under the belt, because if you look on the rental side of it, a normal market for rentals should be around 6,000 inventory on the MLS.
6,000 rentals?
Yes, that's
wow.
a normal.
Yeah.
Okay? We're at 1,460, and that's on the MLS. That's everything: condos, townhouses, houses, anything you put for rent on the MLS. 1,460 is holds on the MLS, which has come up.
That's 1,460 rentals. If you're looking for a rental across all price ranges, 1,460 is how many there are out there.
Yep.
Wow, that's
one
not
bedroom,
that's
6
not a
bedrooms,
lot.
whatever.
Yeah, that is not a lot.
No, it's not. However, it has gone up. It was the summer we got to about a low of around 600-700, and
wow.
Now break it down. Single family houses right now, the inventory is 1,019 on the MLS. Okay, that's everything: big houses, small houses, the whole bit. And if you look at condos, townhouses, you're right around about 400. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Which has come up as well. The condos was around only about 100 in the summertime. And houses got as low as under 500. First time I've ever seen that low of an inventory.
I remember sometime during the summer, someone had called me for a specific rental, and I typed in all the stuff in the MLS and was like, wow, nothing popped up. There was nothing there. So yeah, there's so this shortage, this inventory shortage, rent prices are raising. It's not stopping people from the increase in rent prices, and it's stopping people from getting into rentals. They're still renting.
Yeah, well, they're still renting. They're having a hard time to find a place, but they're still renting.
Yeah.
And now what I would suggest, if someone's looking to rent, start at the beginning of the month, because most people give notice to move you get your inventory, say, on the 1st, okay? And so when people give notice to move, the first week, they're not so active. Second week, they get real active. And the third week, we're in panic, and now you're competing with all those people in the panic mode. Where if you got in the first week, there's a little more inventory, and you have a little more selection.
That's a good tip. That is a very good tip. Now, one of the things with the inventory shortage and everything that's happened over this last year in the rental world, tenant requirements to get into rentals have increased.
Yeah, most places, and some of them I think have gotten ridiculous. But the big thing I would say is if your credit's low, get your credit up. That's a big one right now. If it's under 600, it's going to be very difficult to get a rental property. You know, there might be some like me. I look at the whole thing, and in some cases we can take them with higher deposit. But if you get your credit, your FICO score over 600, you have a better chance of getting a rental property.
Yes.
So the next thing is make sure your income is good. Go through your income, and if you're self-employed, pay the taxes, get the tax records, get us something to work with. Because a lot of times they just hand you bank statements, and the bank statements doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell me where the income is coming in.
Right.
Then the other thing is make sure you make your last landlord happy so they give you good landlord reference.
Because those do get checked.
They do. We
Yes.
look at those very, very well. And also evictions. So there's a misunderstanding on evictions. If I give an eviction notice to someone, okay, it's a 7-day notice to pay or quit. Either they give me the keys or they give me the rent, and then notice goes null and void. That means they don't, if they pay me the rent or gave me the keys, they did not get evicted.
Oh.
Okay, they did not get evicted. They did the right thing. They did one or the other. However, if they ignore me, and then we have to get the constable out and lock them out, now we got an eviction. And just like if you were to go to a car dealer and you had a car repo, that's a kiss of death on a car sale. It's a kiss of death on a rental. They don't want to rent to someone that's been evicted. So by all means, do whatever you can to hand the keys back and at least walk away from it if you can't do anything else.
Right, absolutely. And I feel like this is something that sometimes people, when they're younger, right? They're 18, 19 years old. They move out in their first rental. They're not really responsible yet. They learn the hard way. They don't think about the future, what's going on. And then you see them later on when they're trying to get their life together in their 20s. You know, they'd moved back in with mom and dad or, you know, whatever during all that time. And then now they want to go off on their own, starting a family, doing everything. They can't get into a rental because that eviction didn't go away.
No, it didn't.
They don't go away.
No.
Is there a timeline on those?
I think it's about 6 or 7 years, but if it shows up on the credit, they don't look at the time. They just see eviction, and that's it. It's done.
It's done. It's denial. So in those cases, people that have that, you know, maybe they made bad mistakes in their past, they've got to go back to that property manager or somehow try to resolve or work that out to get it off. That's their only option of removing that, correct?
And you also have to remember, those property managers we're set at a higher standard. We have to follow fair housing. So fair housing says I have to treat everybody the same. So I have to use the same guidelines on each and every person. So if I have one person that's been evicted, okay, that fits, that's automatic denial. That's it, it's done.
Yeah.
Because I can't pick favorites.
Yeah.
Fair housing doesn't allow me to do that.
There's no options for that. No, I agree.
No.
And another thing that I have heard that is always an automatic denial is felons.
No, that is not true.
That is not true?
No,
Okay.
they have changed that now, and rightfully so, because we took a tenant on. He shows up with a family in a BMW, real nice. Okay, but he's a felon. Okay, well, we looked into it, which is what you're supposed to do. Well, he was accessory to it. Okay, the real bad guy, he got sent to some serious time. This guy did a little bit of time, went back out, okay, and reestablished, working, has another rental he's moving out of, so he's already reestablished. And we're going to turn this one down? It made no sense. It's one of my best tenants.
Okay.
Stayed with us for many years. And I think they went on to go buy a house. So it has to be a case-by-case basis, because even if you look at the sex crimes, okay, and everybody's, oh, no, don't want that. Well, here's a case. This actually happened. Okay, they found one with this guy. Says, well, what happened? And he says, yeah, you know, it was me and my girlfriend, and that's when I was 18 and she was 17.
Oh.
And oh, by the way, why don't you talk to her? She's my wife.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so not really there. That doesn't really fit into what we normally look as a pedophile. So that guy got the house. Okay, and that story actually came from fair housing. So we have to look at each case. If it's a bad guy, then by all means, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want to introduce that to the neighborhood because we're part of the neighborhood. You know, my goal whenever I do a rental property is I want people to drive down the house and can't figure out which one's the rental.
Right, absolutely,
Yeah.
right? You don't
Yeah.
want to be like, oh, that must be a rental because the people living there don't care about the house or something of that
Exactly.
sort.
The car, you can spot, grass is high and cars on the jacks.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. But hey, I see a lot of homeowners that live the same way, so you never know. So rent prices right now, they're definitely increasing. I mean, it's all over the news. It's
Yes.
everywhere. Rent prices are high. Do you see that as a trend of just becoming the new norm? Is this part of inflation? I feel like housing prices increasing is part of inflation. It's all just the cost of living's going up. It's something that we're stuck with, and that's just is what it is. Is the same happening with
Well,
rentals?
I believe for a long time we've had low rent, and it was but through the years, up to where the pandemic, the rents were rising. Just
Yeah.
with the pandemic and the things that we went through there, and a lot of people leaving, coming to Las Vegas, just really made our prices go crazy. But I always felt that we're kind of low anyways.
Yes.
Now I think we're getting to the point where it's starting to level out now with the inventory coming up some, and then you have the season adjustment as well because people don't look for rental properties in November, December, January, February, so they'll level out some, and then we'll see what happens next year. I hate to guess because I end up being wrong so often. I didn't see we're going to go up this high this year, but I thought we were going to go up. But this year was really, really crazy. I mean, we probably went up around about $400 on rents.
On
so
average,
$1,600 rental property is now $2,000 a month.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, but remember, in my business, there's a lot of amateurs out there. So you have some people starting in the property management business, and or employees that go in and they see an old comp. Oh, that's what the price is, put it on the market. And look how good we are at rented in the first 3 hours. They weren't good. What they did is they were too low.
Yeah, that was last year's price. Yeah.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
Even 6 months ago is an old comp. So it takes really a professional to go comb through the MLS and see what's out there, what's available now, and what's been rented in the past, and how long ago was it, to make a determination. In some cases, if there's not enough activity in that neighborhood for that particular house, sometimes you just have to guess. And I try to go a little high, and then we start bringing it down so we get the owner the top dollar price.
Yeah, most definitely. That's the goal. And one of the interesting things that you said too is Vegas has always been, and I've worked with investors that invest in, rental properties, income properties across the country. And one of the investors that has multiple rentals, in different spots of the country told me, I just couldn't see about a year or two ago. He told me, I couldn't see investing in Vegas. The rents are just too low there for the price of the house. And I feel like that's been it's been a thing with Vegas historically. It's always been, very affordable. And maybe we're adjusting now to kind of normalize that.
Well, you have a terrific opportunity with the low interest rates that are out there now, and with people that are moving in. We have 5,000 people moving here a month. Okay, if you look at, you said 3,500 houses for sale, and I show 1,400. That's just barely enough for the people coming in here. Plus the fact that other people that already live here looking for rental properties, there's still a shortage, which means that we'll probably still see some rent increases, but obviously not as high as increases that we saw this year, but they'll still be going up. And some of the others starting to see that, I'm under the market and I need to get my rents up. You're seeing that a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I was really the pioneer earlier this year. I mean, nobody was really getting that the rents were going up as high as they were, and you could see that they're going really fast. And I had people say, well, look at that one. That one's lower than yours. Yeah, wait a day and it'll be gone. And sure enough, and then they'd have to come to mine, because there wasn't anything else that was available.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's an opportunity for investors and also buyer's agents to work with these investors and buy rental properties because, you can see that there's not too much land out here, okay, that's available.
There's only so far we can build.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And water shortages and everything else. I think it's an excellent opportunity to get in and invest now. Even with the sale prices going up, I still think that we still have more room to go. But if you did, at a 2%, 3% interest rates, you just can't beat that.
I know. And that is, and it's the security, when people are rentals, in my opinion, living in a rental should be temporary. The terms of your lease, 1 year, maybe 2 years, you get in you stay there, you get whatever your finance, your plans, your goals together, and you look towards home ownership. Home ownership is going to have that security at the end of the term of the lease. You're not going to have an increase in rent. Your landlord, how many times have you seen a lot this year where the landlords have decided to sell the homes because the prices are so good?
A lot.
A lot. That's been a problem.
Has contributed to the shrinkage in inventory.
Yes.
Okay, that's why we have less to rent out there, which means, like I said, there's a good opportunity for investors to come out and go pick some properties up because there are people desperate to get rental properties.
Yeah, and you can't be mad at them for that. I mean, they bought it as an investment, and it's a great time. The prices are good, so they want to sell. But sometimes the tenants have been there for 20 years. There's some very long-term tenants that never thought this person was going to sell the home. They weren't even planning on moving, and they have to move because the landlords decided to sell the home. Sometimes, someone has passed. I've heard situations where the landlord passes, his heirs have got in the home, and they decided they didn't want to keep the rental. So there's always something that can happen when you have somebody else owning the home you live in.
Well, I think that everybody should have a rental property, but the fact is, not everybody wants to be a landlord.
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent investment, but you have to have a certain frame of mind and understand what rental properties are. And I think it's important too that it's good to get a good property manager, because I think most that are do it themselves are all on the market. So the analogy would be like this. Say you take your car into a shop, okay, and you pay whatever it takes to get your brakes fixed. Let's just say it's $600. Now you grab the tools and you start doing your own brake job, and it costs you more than the $600 to do it yourself, is what's happening with landlords doing it themselves. Most are onto the market, and even if they get it at today's prices, they don't know how to raise the rents later down the road. Right. So now it's costing them money to do the work. Yeah. Where if I can in most cases make them more money, and they don't have to do the work. So they don't have to get the call in the middle of the night. Now, as you said, you believe in people owning their own house, and I do as well. But it's not everybody that looks at that way. At certain levels of their life, some people, especially millennials, they like the landlord taking care of the things they're supposed to take care of.
And everything like that.
When the fridge breaks, they want that fixed by someone else. But you'd be surprised on how many landlords don't want to do that. And part of the reason is because they're not making enough money on the property, so they go the cheap route. And I go to totally different way. I go higher, but we're going to take darn good care of the tenants. If something breaks, we're going to get it fixed right away.
That's good.
Because now I have the reasons why we can get more rents next time around. Okay, right. We've taken good care of them, and almost always they never dispute the $100 increases that I get from them. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's very, very important, and that comes, I would say, from a professional, because that's all I do and that's all I think about. Versus an owner that has to do their regular job, and then the sideline is the rental property. It's not going to get the same attention.
Absolutely. And Mark, what about, owners, people that are looking to purchase rental properties? I know there's a misconception out there that you have to be wealthy to buy or own a rental property or something like that. But any average person can own and acquire rental properties. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, there's a simple way to do that for the average doesn't know anything about rental properties to get a rental property, and that's to take your existing property. You got in for FHA 3.5% down. Okay, so it's and if you live in it for 2-3 years, that property is going to cash flow. So you leave that alone and you buy the next house. So you get with your lender, and instead of the $1,300 house, you upgrade to the 1,700 square foot house. Maybe 3 bedrooms, now you go to 4 bedrooms. As long as you can prove that to the lender that you're upgrading, they'll let you rent the other house out. And it's not fraud as long as your original intentions was to live in the house under a VA or an FHA loan. You're still okay to do that. And the lenders really don't care as long as you're paying that mortgage. That's all they really care about when it comes down to it. Yeah. And so you could turn that property into a rental property and then and buy your next house. And the great thing is, instead of one growing for you, now you got 2. Because we all wake in the morning, we get our cup of coffee, go out to work. Wouldn't it be nice to have someone do that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, it's if you bought your home 3 years ago, and your mortgage, you probably bought your home at a lot lower price than it is now, or you did buy your home at a lot lower price. It's not even a question about it. Then you have a lot lower mortgage on that home. Yeah. And then when you take the current rents that you have right now, the current rental prices that there are right now, you're going to making good income on that home. You go to buy another home, families grow. Sometimes you decide, after a few years, it happens to everybody that this home feels too small. I want a bigger house. I want to move. You grow, you upgrade into that next home. Now you're making good income on this home, which can actually, the income that you're making off of your previous home can help you pay for the new home, the bigger home. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's something that everybody should think of, because eventually, one day, through the tenants paying rent, you're going to have that mortgage paid off completely. Yep. And that's completely cash flow. And somebody else has been paying it for you.
That's right. And there's another benefit. There's the tax benefit. Now, I'm not a tax expert, so you want to go to a good tax person for this. But you have tax benefits. Now, you do on a house that you buy, but it's only on the interest. Okay, but the interest rate's so low, it's not the write-off it once was. But with a rental property, you have depreciation, you can write off my fee, the HOA, there's a lot of stuff you can write off. So it's still a very good write-off on your taxes. No. So if you're successful and able to go buy the next house, this will really help you on tax-wise to bring your tax burden down.
Yep. And then eventually, you look at the time, if you're just, you're working every day and you're working towards retirement, by the time you retire, these homes could be paid off and you could have just cash flow income. I call it mailbox money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that presents the next problem, because I always tell people that it's not that rental properties don't make you money, because it's going to. In most cases, they almost always do. Here's the problem. Is the cash starts building up and up, the value gets higher and higher, and you get the calls from everybody. Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? And it's really tough to leave this on the table. But if you can leave this alone, okay, then you have a nice chunk of cash when you go to retire. Yeah. So don't refinance, don't sell the property, just hold on to it as long as you possibly can. Now, if you get into an area where it's not really, I'm not seeing it so much because the lack of rental properties, but sometimes if the neighborhood changes and it's not what it once was, then you do a 1031 exchange and get into a newer area where the property is going to perform.
Yeah. Or if you have an HOA and the HOA is like increasing and it's just not making much sense at that time. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, another area that a property manager can really help out is also an HOA. So a lot of people have a bad view of HOAs. I don't. I work with HOAs. I look to be to become their best friend, because they got enemies all over the place. Everybody treats them bad. So if you treat those property managers at the HOAs well, they usually very, very quickly. We had one recently where the owner was getting $2,000 a month fined. Okay, because she was doing it herself.
Oh, my
goodness. She had 7 open violations. Now, HOAs, the reason why they do fines is because they want you to notice that they exist. Okay, so now a lot of times what owners do is they hand the property owner, go, boy, it's off my hand. Okay, how come we don't have it fixed yet? Says, okay, give me all the violations. Let me look at what we got. Okay, and we went to go fix them. Then we sent letters to the HOA. Okay, we got this one fixed, this one fixed. Don't understand this one. Don't understand that one. And within 24 hours, we had 6 of the 7 violations all closed out, and we had the fines immediately stopped.
Yeah.
And I only have 1 left, and I got to go hearing next month, and then that one will go away as well, because we're going to prove it was over dog waste, and we're going to prove that, yeah, the tenants are taking care of it. Because what happens, you put a tenant in the property, and they had a pet, then everybody, oh, it's bad because we got a tenant in the property, and we're going to go after them. So you have to play that game, and he explained it to the tenant. This is what we got to do. You got to clean them up after daily, and I actually have addendums in my lease to cover all this, so
Okay.
they follow it. And I said, you got to play the game, and then we can be a little more relaxed, but we got to get them off of us, and we did. And after a while, then the tenants slowly get into the neighborhood, and everybody likes them.
That's
Okay?
good.
But when you've had a bad tenant, everybody has the feelings that, well, all tenants are bad, and that's simply not true.
That is correct. There's plenty of tenants out there that are good, that really maintain the home and take good care of it. So what are things that people should look for when they're looking to hire a property manager? So there's people out there that may already have rental properties and they're stressed out trying to manage them or take care of them themselves. Maybe some people are unhappy with the management company that they're with, or people are looking to purchase a rental property and they're looking for a property manager. What are some of the things that they should look for?
Okay. I would say number 1 would be experience. How many years have they been doing it? If it's the first year, 2 years, 5 years, I probably don't have enough experience. Where is the company? What's the reputation of the company? Go online, look at that. That doesn't tell you everything, but it helps tell the story. Look at Google, look at Yelp, look at their reviews. And then NARPM. NARPM is the National Association of Residential Property Managers. Now, us realtors, we belong to NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors. But the problem with us and NAR is that we're pretty much treated as the redheaded stepchild of the real estate business. We get kind of ignored.
Right.
So NARPM has come along, and we get a lot more information and training and better tools for the trade to treat our clients better, our customers, which is our tenants. It might make life easier for us property managers. When I first started, we collected by hand rents. You know, rent day was a big day. Now it's not anymore because it's all done online.
You had to go out to every house?
No, they came to us, but you had a long line, and then you would have the excuses why I can't pay rent this month and everything else. And now that they're able to pay online, we got rid of all that stuff.
Yeah.
We have like a 99.9% rent pay rate. So
Right.
that's another reason to use a property manager, and also see, do they collect rents online? So, and then another one is, how do they do their applications? Is it the old-fashioned paper app? Then you want to toss it away. They're in the Stone Age. Okay, because most of us do it all online. It's so much easier and so much more efficient. Plus, I can actually read the stuff versus someone scratch.
Right.
Okay, so that's another one. And another thing that I would do is give them a call on your non-office hours. After 5 and on the weekends, will someone answer the phone? If they don't, and your property's on the market, guess what? They're not marketing your property on the weekend.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I love showing properties on the weekends because nobody else is there, so they're going to rent my property. So I get them every time.
That's
And
good.
I get it all the time. Says, God, you're the only one who would answer the phone. So even on Sundays, I don't mind. I got to watch my Raiders first, but then after that, then we go and show rental properties. So, and usually it's only one or twice, so it's not that big of a deal. But most cases, I get applications, we get it rented. So, again, that's one of the ways we make our owners more money, is being more efficient at getting out there and getting them rented out.
Wow.
Let's see, I had a couple more notes. Let me check my notes here on what else we should do for property managers.
I know you spoke a little bit about the pet screening.
Yeah, that's another reason. See if they use, I use Pet Screener, and I like that a lot. And the reason for using that is it makes sure they got their shots, if they had any biting history, and are they registered. Then another one would come up all the time is they'll ask, do you take pets? And of course, your property says no, because the owner said no on that. And then guess what the pet suddenly becomes? A comfort, emotional support animal. Okay, and most people don't know how to check those out, so they just take them, which means you got to take the animal without a deposit if you do it correctly. Okay, federal guidelines says you can't get a deposit on a emotional support, comfort animal, and service animal. Okay. Now, Pet Screener can check all these out. And in the past, about 60% did not check out, which means I get the deposit. We had a lady that she said she had 3 emotional support animals. Couldn't prove it. Now we got $500 per animal pet deposit. I get an extra $1,500.
Right.
Okay. And it also, so going on pets, I see a lot of owners that say, emotionally, no, I don't want any pets in my house.
Right.
But here's where you got to look at it: is are you ever going to live in the house? Number one. If it's yes, okay, then I understand that. But if it's no, in a lot of cases you're going to move in, you're probably going to rip out the carpet and the flooring anyway, so then it really is not going to matter that much. Okay, but if it's no, then why not take pets? So if you have 2 houses side by side, okay, so you're renting one, no pets, and it takes you a month longer to get it rented because you're saying no to pets, because you cut your market out 60 to 70%. Here I'm getting higher deposits and I can get it rented at a higher rate. Okay, so my owner's making more money and we get it rented real fast. Say in the first week or 2 weeks we get it rented, so they're making more money. So here we already lost $2,000, here we haven't. Okay. Yeah. Then if there is some pet damage, then I have the pet deposit to go after and the security deposit to go after that. Absolutely. And if there is any little damage that's not covered by the deposits, and it's very minimal compared to over in this example here. So I would say yes to pets. And then we also take the next step is we have inspections that the owners can sign up for. Okay, and then I visit the property 90 days prior to make sure they're not running herd cats out of the place. They are taking good care of it. And then we offer the property for another rent for another year with a rent increase. It's not a big rent increase, but it's a rent increase that they agree to, that the owners agree to. So everybody is we've taken good care of them. They're happy, and we move forward. So that's the case where a lot of owners that do it themselves, they feel very uncomfortable with this process of raising the rents because they've heard of all the stories. Well, Judy has to have your braces, and the dogs had this, the operation, and this and that, and they feel sorry. Oh God, okay, well, I guess we'll wait, and then of course that never happens. And versus a professional. I show a much different story. I show them the rental comps and where we are, and this is my offer to you. So it's not as high as we had to remarket the property, but it's a little bit higher than what you're paying now. Most cases, they'll take that.
Yeah, no, and that is it. It is good to have someone else to be in the middle, a professional to negotiate that, to talk about that, because it becomes a personal relationship when someone's self-managing their property.
Well, many people think that you and I are in the real estate business, but I argue that we're not. We are actually in the business of emotions when it comes to real estate, and emotions run high.
This is true.
So with a professional, we can take the emotions out, because I can run stats and information to the owner to where it makes sense that, make a good idea to take pets. Like I said, if you're not going to live in the property, then what difference does it make?
That's absolutely
right. And things can be fixed. So if they do and I tell people too, let's don't think that, little Fido's not going to do damage. Let's say that Fido is. If they tear up the carpet, then we have ways to fix that, okay? And charge the tenants. And by the way, if my tenants do have Fido that's tearing up the carpet or the blinds or anything else, then they're not going to stay another year. It's time for them to go find another rental property, and we'll try the next time around. Absolutely. I hardly ever have to go do that, but that's our mind frame. We want our tenants to take good care of the property. We want to provide a good property for them, and we want to properly maintain it. So, they got to pay rent, take good care of it. That's their obligation. Our obligation is to make sure that it's a safe environment, that it's fixed, and they have a place where they love our online payments. They love that.
Yeah.
And most of mine all pay auto pay, which means they're paying like on the 28th or the 29th. They're always paying early, and so it makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a huge convenience. Now, Mark, if people have more questions about property management, how do they reach you?
just give me a call. My cell phone, I think it's on the screen, 702-278-4781. And my website is a great place to see all the things that we do. One of my, when I went on my own and looking to start a new website, we went to everybody else's, and I saw the same story being told over. Everybody said the same thing. And I thought, we wanted to differentiate ourselves from the competition, plus the fact that I don't believe most people really understand what is it that we actually do. Most think, you just get the tenant. Well, it's far more than that. And if I say it, then I say the same thing over and over again. So we actually, on the website, has all the information, the things that we actually do. And
Okay.
it's more than what most are saying, screening tenants and doing maintenance requests. It's more than that. The online payments, the online applications, and taking care of HOAs, and also handling issues. When tenants are upset, how do we handle that? Because you don't want someone really upset living in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's when damage happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to let it get to that.
So what's your website address?
TheRentallisterLV.com.
Okay, TheRentallisterLV.com. That's pretty easy to remember. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mark. He's very resourceful. And if you have any other questions that I can answer, you guys know how to reach me, 702-308-2878. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's show. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday. And remember, if you're watching our show, please take a moment, like, comment, share. We love hearing your feedback. Have a wonderful day.